It's Saturday morning. We thought we would send out an update. We wanted to record one yesterday evening, but Morgan had other ideas. He was squealing with laughter, which is not always a sign that he's happy. Sometimes it's a sign of discomfort. And then he and I were up until about 11:15 because he was struggling to go to sleep. Weren't you, Mo? Anyway, we now have an opportunity. James is on his iPad, so we thought we'd just give you a quick update on how things are doing and on how we're feeling. Mm-hmm. Why don't you talk about how you're feeling, Sharon?
Yes, so I think the initial shock has subsided, although it's still very, very surreal, don't get me wrong. But the thing that really changed last week was I just felt really loved by people. I felt loved by friends, by family, by... you've had a lot of love from ex-work colleagues, of people I've only known by name before, and it's just been lovely to see what people have written. Ex-pupils from when I was a teacher in my 20s have written, and it's just been amazing. And I think when we set out on this, I mean, I'm still not sure if it's the right thing to do.
Bit late now, honey.
I'm on a train now, and I don't know whether I want to be on it, but I just didn't think people would
be that interested.
No, and people have said things that are just so lovely, and you just don't get to hear that kind of stuff very often. And you know, when you're at someone, this is going to sound a bit macabre now, but you know, when you're at someone's funeral and they talk about all the things that were special about that person, and I always think what a shame it is that they don't get to hear that. That's probably a bit of an odd thought, but there we are, that's how my mind works. So, and I thought, wow, it's really amazing to hear how much love people have shown, and yeah, just really wonderful. Yeah. It's been heartwarming.
We genuinely think that we're having very little effect on the people around us, and that might be a common feeling, but
don't even think about an effect.
Yeah, indeed. But apparently people have remembered us fondly, and that's been such a lovely thing to discover.
It has.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
Right,
so, I'm just getting
so where are we up to now? This has been a very odd week and a bit just gone. We never would have predicted that we would have been interviewed on the radio, or would have spoken to a journalist. We're just ordinary Rob and Sharon, you know, things like that don't happen to us. So that's been strange and
very
hard to get our heads around. But we're now in a position where there's already an amazing chunk of money in this fund to help provide a home for Morgan. So I just want to talk a little bit about what difference that makes.
Yeah.
In particular, one of the areas that has not been clear, my fault, I'm sure, is around bridging finance and what that would mean and how it would work. So just to try and keep this really succinct, we can't afford, out of our own wallets, to buy a £500,000 house. We don't have that kind of money in the bank. And we do have some value in this house that we need to sell, but because we need to adapt the other house first, we need to own it before selling this one. So that basically means
is the problem.
We need that whole 500,000 plus the cost of adaptations to be available in order to do that bit. And then we can sell this house and close that gap in whatever borrowing there is. So the cost of that kind of finance, called bridging finance usually, the cost is substantial. You know, a residential mortgage at the moment, you might be paying 2 or 3% interest. A bridging loan, it's more like 12%. And then just to keep the numbers really simple, if we say we needed £500,000, the interest at 12% for 3 months, the time it might take us to do the adaptations, that's £15,000. So that's where that number came from that's on the website. The £15,000 is just the interest to afford the bridging loan between this and the next house.
Yes, and we initially asked for that as the target because that would be the difference between splitting up the family for this to get to the new property and keeping us together, and a whole lot of other knock-on effects that would cause.
And so we explain on the website why all of that's important, why we need to keep the family together. It's not just it's nice to be together. It actually massively contributes to our stability, especially James's. He can't really be separated from his brother for any length of time. It just doesn't work.
And it's better for Morgan too.
That's
we're
right.
Together.
Yeah, and for us to be close at hand, we do know Morgan best. He has excellent carers, but we're the ones that are here all the time, so see the full extent of all the changes and patterns in his life. So it's just by far the best to keep us together, to not try and move into temporary accommodation which may not have the facilities that Morgan needs, and to do that then 2 moves in a row. So we battered that target in one day, which was just absolutely unbelievable. And then people were saying, aim higher, and we're like, well, haven't we been cheeky enough?
Well, because we're British, and there's this kind of ethos that you work for what you get, and nobody wants to feel like a charity case, do they? It really has taken swallowing pride to do this, and I don't think I've swallowed mine yet. That's why I'm on the train I'm not sure I should be on, but there we are.
And generally speaking, we don't think of pride as a good thing, but we have plenty of it, and we need to get rid of some. So we are amazed by the response on so many fronts. We now have the money that would pay for the cost of a bridging loan should we need it, but also to contribute to pay for the interest, exactly, but also to contribute to the other things that we need to do as well.
Yeah.
And the biggest single difference that makes is probably an obvious one. So when we look out at the market, as we've been doing for many months now, there is a very limited range of properties that are suitable on location, on floor plan, on cost.
Yeah.
And the one thing that having more money in the pot most obviously changes is cost. If there's more money available, then it puts slightly more expensive properties within our reach.
It's all about where we put the compromise, and there will be compromises, but yeah.
So we are potentially bringing slightly more expensive houses within our range, but
which might mean we can live closer to the key facilities. That's one of the main things, isn't it? The cost.
We do need to stay. We've already established we need to stay close, especially to Morgan and James's school, and to the hospital and pharmacy and GP and all of that. So it does extend our reach slightly, but there's still a snag that even if we looked at ridiculous priced houses, there are still almost none that fit all of the criteria. So it's also a bit of a waiting game, and we're having to be extremely patient, and I'm not an especially patient person, I don't think, for the right property to come along. So that's where it leaves us. We are waiting. We have slightly more options now than we did before we started all of this, and we are extremely grateful.
That's the difference, is not splitting the family up now. So it does look achievable.
It does.
But we will need to look at the location and what we compromise on. We will have to compromise. We're totally spoilt where we are. We love where we are.
So there we go. That's where we're up to. All right, Mo. We're just going to say goodbye for now.
Yes.
I hope that this isn't too waffly, and that you don't mind following along. It's great just to be able to tell you a bit about what's going on and how we're feeling about it.
And thank you for all the love, and thank you for listening.
We would especially love it if the love could keep coming, because that helps us. That helps us to keep going. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
From the bottom of our hearts. Bless you. Bye for now.
Bye.